Rev up your engines! Well, it's the end of the muscle car era for Dodge. They said next year they're going to discontinue their Charger and Challengers, their big muscle cars. Because, of course, they're all getting rid of V8 engines, and Dodge says they're going to electrify the muscle cars. Of course, electric cars have a tremendous amount of torque, so they are pretty good muscle cars, but it'll be the end of the V8 gasoline-powered muscle era for Dodge. Not really surprising when you think about it, because all these companies are selling trucks and SUVs, cars. It's a very small amount of their business these days. I mean, let's face it. How many people are going to pay $90,000 up for one of these Hellcats that has 700-something horsepower and gets like 3 miles a gallon? And of course, they're going to cash in on the end of next year is going to be the last ones they make. They always rip people off. Oh, this is a special last edition. This is a blah, 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 blah. They give them names and they charge a ton more money, hoping that people will buy them and pay a whole bunch of money extra for them because it's the last special edition. So it'll be the end of making these muscle cars, and realize all these ones are made in Brampton, Ontario for decades now, and I won't be building them there anymore. Stellantis says they're going to invest $2.8 billion into the plant in Brampton and other areas. They don't say what they're going to do with it yet. Who knows if they will, what they will. Some people are talking they're going to make electric cars there. Who knows? But just to give you an idea, they only sold 54,000 Challengers last year. That's a spit in the bucket for car production. I mean, Toyota sells like 10 million cars a year worldwide, and they're talking about selling 54,000. So it's, it's less and less people buying these muscle cars. People are getting SUVs and trucks. Muscle cars. The past is still kind of going along, but you won't be able to buy any gasoline-powered ones after the end of next year. Well, here's an interesting one. Toyota and Cattle, if you don't know what Cattle is, and I'm talking about the cows on the field. Cattle's a company that makes all those electric batteries in China. They're shutting down their factories because they don't have enough electricity because of a drought. Realize that China gets a reasonable amount of power from hydroelectric dams in certain areas. I mean, the majority of China has coal-burning plants. They got a lot of coal, so they got a lot of coal-burning plants to make electricity. But in that particular area that makes batteries is hydroelectric power, and with the drought, they can't make the electricity. How does this fit in with, we're going to electrify cars entirely, battery electric cars, right? They can't even have enough electricity to build the batteries for the cars. How are they going to charge them up? When millions and millions or tens of hundreds of millions of people are driving electric cars. They don't have the electricity to build the batteries in the cars, yet they're going to sell people cars that run on electricity. If anybody besides me doesn't see the irony in this, it's so obvious. But of course, the companies look at the handwriting on the wall. No, they're kind of like, they're just closing their eyes and bulling a China shop, running their way through. Well, we're going to make electric battery cars. Here we go. Oh, wait, we can't make the batteries because we don't have enough electricity to make the batteries. Wait, when we make the batteries, what's going to fill them with electricity? Oh, who cares? Just keep making the stupid things. Big old Gaji says, my '08 Mazda 3 jerks when it accelerates. I changed the fuel pumps. It still jerks. Help. All right, well, I hope you change the fuel filter, too. What you generally should do first thing you change the fuel filter, because you might have a good pump, but if the fuel filter's clogged, the fuel can't get through and it'll jerk. So definitely, if you didn't change the filter, change the filter. Now, if you didn't, a whole bunch of things can make a car jerk. So you start simple and work your way up. If the spark plugs are worn, it can jerk. Change the spark plugs. If that's not it, could be the ignition coils. They don't fire right, the car can jerk. You don't want to just guess with expensive things like ignition coils. Then you either get a mechanic like me or get a scan tool and learn how to operate it. And if you see, well, it's misfiring on cylinder number 2, then you know the number 2 coil is probably bad. Replace that. Now, it can also be dirty fuel injectors, a dirty mass airflow sensor, a blowing head gasket, even a worn out transmission. So you always try the simple things, spark plugs, coils, fuel filter, and then from there, you're best to analyze it, and if you're no good at analyzing it, pay a mechanic like me to at least analyze it to find where the problem lies, because there's so many things. And it is a Mazda, and it's an older one, '08. Many times, jerking on that is your transmission going out. The Mazdas make pretty good transmissions today because they have deals where they share technology and they're much better. But back in '08, Mazdas had still relatively weak automatic transmissions that can break down and they will jerk. Pray it's not that. It says, is adding an oil trap a good idea? I got an '01 Sienna. Burns a lot of oil. I changed the PCV valve. So it burns a lot of oil. Should I put in an oil trap? Well, yeah, I would if I were you. A lot of people did it on the older Volkswagen. It's not old, but like 7-8 years ago, because the GDI engines carboned up the engine, right? So you would put an oil catch can. Yours isn't a GDI engine, but yours is worn out. And a worn out engine will put a bunch of oil in the PCV system. The engine will burn it. If you get an oil catch can, the oil instead will go in a can. You can empty it every once in a while. Now, it is a Band-Aid. Eventually, your engine will wear out enough. You're going to have to buy another one, rebuild it, or get another vehicle. It's an '01, so I'm sure it's got a lot of miles. You didn't say how many miles, but I'm sure it's high mileage. The engine's just flat wear out, and the oil catch can at least will keep it from getting oil in the engine, burning it, and carboning up. You're eventually going to need another engine, or like I say, another vehicle. But as a Band-Aid, yeah. Put an oil catch can on it. They can help it. Pay Up Now 7 says, I have an old truck. The mechanic said I need a new carburetor and something about a TV cable. What does a carburetor have to do with the transmission? Help. All right. Well, yours is so old it's got a carburetor. Carburetors do not meter fuel as efficiently as a fuel-injected engine. If your carburetor is worn out and gives the wrong amount of fuel, the engine will start jerking, and then it'll make the transmission shift bad too, because it's getting jerky things instead of smooth, that it's going to start jerking, and you might think you got a transmission problem when in reality the carburetor isn't working right. Now too, there's no such thing as a TV cable. What he's talking about is the kick-down cable. Your pedal, you step on a pedal to the floor, there's a cable, and when you get near the end, that cable's pulled in. It's a downshift cable. It'll shift the transmission down to the next lower gear. Say you're in 4th gear and you floor it. It'll shift it down to 3rd. We used to call it a passing gear, because then when you went to pass somebody and you floored it, would go down to the lower gear so the car could take off faster and you could pass. That's no big deal. That's just a cable that can replace it. The carburetor could be a relatively expensive deal, but that could be the reason it's jerking. It might not be your transmission itself. God knows what he's talking about. It could be your carburetor. And he said you need a cable because the cable's probably worn. They're cables. That's an 86. It's old as heck, and you probably see that the cable, it's a metal cable, and it's spun wire. You might see the wires are starting to fray and snap off inside. Wondering Yid says, should I put on a cold air intake? I got an '01 Toyota 4Runner, 198,000 miles. Would putting a cold air intake make the engine wear out faster? Don't do it. Your car's set up for the system it has. The computer knows what's in there. It'll meter how much air comes in, how much fuel to mix with it, and it'll run best. You throw in a cold air intake, you're changing the flow. And that's an '01. The computer isn't going to be able to compensate for your changes. It doesn't know you put a cold air intake on. Now, in a more modern car, if you wanted to spend the money, you could put a cold air intake on, but you would have to reprogram the computer. It would be foolhardy to throw it on. And I see all the young kids with Hondas and stuff, oh, we put a cold air intake on it. If you do, you can, but then you have to reprogram the computer. And most of those kids, they don't know that, and they just put them on there. Oh, look, because they don't have the right air-fuel mixture. They can be reprogrammed, but the kids don't know that, and they don't know anybody. Probably they can reprogram them. So, but if you want your Toyota to last forever, don't waste your time putting a cold air intake on that thing. It's stupid. It doesn't serve any purpose. I know people say, well, race cars have them. Yeah, race cars have them because they want to go as fast as possible. They don't care about gas mileage, and they reprogram for the races. And a race car, when it's going down the road today, programming itself as you drive. The guys at the pits are looking at the data wirelessly, and they might say, okay, let's lean the mixture or richen it a little while the race is going on. It's all done wirelessly. You can't do that on the car you drive every day. Ford Explorer 2010 says, I have gas in my engine oil on a 2010 Explorer Sport Track. I replaced the fuel regulator, changed the oil, still there's gas in the oil. Help, you tried the fuel regulator, and that's a rather common thing. And if it's not doing it, there's basically two main things that do that. One is, if your mass airflow sensor is bad and it's telling the computer that it's getting a lot more air than it actually is, then it will give more fuel than it actually needs. It'll run rich, and then that way it goes, right? The other one is, maybe you have a fuel injector that's leaking. Right? You tried the regulator. Now the injectors, they won't all go bad at once. So what you do is pull all 6 spark plugs out. If you see one of them is black and smells of gasoline, when you take it out, it means that fuel injector is probably bad, and it's dripping fuel and making it run rich. Now, there are other things can do it that you don't want to. If it's starting to blow a head gasket, if the piston rings are worn out, super expensive stuff. So start with the basic stuff and work your way up. Don't always start at the expensive ones, because it can get expensive fast. Pray it's a bad fuel injector or something like that, and not that the piston rings are just worn out and then you got to rebuild the engine. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.